Hey, how's it going? Is this thing live? I haven't done a video in so long, and I thought for several reasons I think I'm going to come back to blogging again and talk about a few things that's perhaps going on. And I know that in the realms of YouTube, that that is both a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because you kind of get to talk to yourself for a bit, and maybe a few people will give you a few kind words along the way. The bad thing is that you're exposing yourself to the internet and open to criticism and things. But I've been blogging on this channel for on and off for quite a few years now. I did have one before this channel, but I think I deleted it for some reason. I don't know. I think I just had enough of YouTube. But yeah, it's been a year. It's been a year. Last time I did a video, I think, on camera was up in Birmingham. And Birmingham's always got a special place in my heart. And, I plan to go back. There's a couple of people that I really enjoy catching up with up in Birmingham. Big shout out to Andy and, of course, John. And yeah, it's been a crazy year, right? So I don't quite know where to start, really. So it's going to be one of those blogs. So if you just want to listen to someone ramble on, then you're in the right place. If you don't, then that's also cool. Ribena, still sort of very much off the drink. Have been since 2019, 6 years now. And I might do another video on that, on my status of drinking. But that's been much better for me. I think since getting into a relationship, I didn't want to. You don't want to be, look. There's no point getting older if you don't get wiser, right? And that's kind of the deal. So so I don't really sort of drink that much. So much so I got it scratched into my arm. Abstemious, which is Italian or Latin. That knows it's written on my arm. But basically it means to eat and drink in real moderate. Anyway, I think that's what it means. That's what I interpreted from it. I think I got that from someone listening to someone talk about black veil brides. But anyway, we massively digress. But so this channel obviously is more about my music and that world. And music for me, bands for me, has been, the one thing that's been a lifeblood, if you like. Certainly back in the day. There's lots of things I can break down in this video to then do separate videos, but obviously being massively bullied at school and then to feel in a band, you've got your best goddamn friends, and so band life has always been really cool. But obviously, as I may or may not put the front of the video up because I was walking through a lane, bands are really hard things to put together. You need potentially a good couple of people who have the same vision, the same dedication, and the same vision for, well, both those two things basically. They need to enjoy the same music. They need to want to write the same music. You need to be able to get on, and you both need to be in a life space, or a space in life where you need to you're both able to dedicate it. And I've always thought that actually, and I think this is from my early days, 2 or 3 people is the core, is putting a band together. I know bands are, the core of the band is all the band members, but often it's sort of, and I don't think that's unfair to say. Often, it's put together by 1 or 2 or 3 people. And once you've got that click, and once you've got that, you're both sort of hell-bent on, achieving that dream, then, there's no stopping you. So I guess since moving to Birmingham, now that video is well gone, but you can probably find one on the channel. I know there's one of me moving out of, I think it's Newcastle. There's a video on the channel of me moving out of Newcastle. And I'd moved from Stafford and previously in Birmingham, and I was moving back to Birmingham. I think I was on my third property within 1 year. That life was quite upside down. So any people in my life there probably didn't get the best of me. But that's what that kind of leads on nicely. That's what led on to Remnants of Me, and that is the remnants of me. So the best bits of me, all the rough bits, all the lessons learned, obviously drink, and everything else, that comes with that. And, lessons learned is remnants of Eden. And I think in order to keep me sane the last, is it really 5 years that, living in Essex, you have to put a knot in the life, like your rope of life. You have to tie a note. I'm not skipping it. This is raw and uncut. Say this is your rope. You have to put a little knot in the future, or a goal, in order to kind of pull towards that knot, and have something to get up for, and strive. And I kind of want to touch on work as well, because let's stay on track with Remnants. And Remnants was that, and a chance to be able to write the demos. And I was really proud of them, like Remnants of Me, Punk Rock Life. I think there's some strong tracks on there. Dave from Scotland, I sent him the CD. I didn't even bring the CD down, but it's on the channel. I should have had it here. But that was a real achievement, because I've always mostly written songs in a band setting. And if I ever had written on my own, I was quite protective and maybe really proud of it. And you have to put it through a blender of sorts when you're in a band, to bring out the best of the song, and I get that. But I didn't have to do that on Remnants, and I got to, just do what I want to do. Could they be better? Yeah, sure. They're demos, I'm just a rhythm guitarist at best. I, started out as a singer. I then moved on to bass guitar, played in Bristol, and that was really cool. And, but it, band's always been like a family to me. And I think as you get older, like I turned 50 last year. What the smeg is all that about? And I think the last video I did, I was probably 49. Right, up in Birmingham, and I visited Rabanas, and I think that video's on there as well. I don't know how much I'm waffling, because I'm quite well known for waffling. But yeah, so Remnants of Me was a really important project to finish. And it went to print, and I was working with Nigel at Audio Tree, and we worked on the book and the layout of the book, and did some photography with my partner, and got some really good shots for the book. And there's a poem in there, and there's a big ass thank you in there, and it got completed, and it's done, and it's finished. And no one can take that away. I get to hold that. I don't have sometimes when you're working with a band, you're sort of they're not always pleasant memories of bringing the best out in you. But so that was really cool, and it was really cool to be able to, to finish that project. And now I find myself in the last maybe 6 months to a year hitting a massive, and this is where this channel gets real, depression, man. Like I just hit an absolute lump of sludge, and I just feel like I've got a black cloud, and it's just like, and I'm really tired of it, so I sort of went to a doctor and sought a little bit of help with therapy, to talk through some stuff. And it's crazy. You're doing CBT, which takes you right back to childhood, and some of the rules that you set in place when you were a child. And as I said, I was massively bullied, and confidence was shot, and friends were not really friends. You can see the pattern, right? And so so therapy has been interesting. Work, I'm so, and this is where, you're talking on camera. So, but, you work, I've been working since I was what, 16? Yeah, 16. And on and off. And I'm 50 and I'm just a bit, it's like, is that what it's all about? I'm a creative person. I get, my eyes sparkle when I'm doing something creative. And so I've got a couple of other projects, but procrastination, man, I just literally, it's been it's been quite crippling, really. And and I'm with my partner of 5 years, and although I believe that I lead myself in a very I believe I'm good. Like I cook, I clean, and and I'm attentive. I listen, and and we get on great. I don't feel like my partner's seen the best of me, and I don't know where that goes. So I guess I'm just gonna waffle and do video blogs because I've got 4 song titles that I'm working on, and they're going to inspire me to write again. One song's called "No One's Coming to Save You." Another one called "A Thousand Steps," which I'm really interested in, and "Two Wolves," because obviously which one do you feed? The story, is it an old proverb story of the good and bad wolf, and it is in each of us. And the little child looks up and says, well, which one wins? And the wise old man says, the one you feed. I'll tell you what I have been doing the last 10 years is looking at philosophy and all kinds of stuff like that. And that's kind of made me wonder where I fit in the world. I think I've always felt that way. And I was going to go for a drink then. I'm going to go for a drink. It's Ribena. Yeah, and where I fit in the world. And I don't know whether I really have, to be honest. There's been pockets, where I felt like I fitted in, but and maybe that's okay. I'm not going to be the type of person to sit here in a frilly blouse and, I'm going to be real. I'm being real because that's me, Yes, loads of flies around. So, so at the moment I'm out of work and I don't know what I want to do. It's a fly. I don't know what I want to do. I've always been really dedicated when I'm working, and they always get the best out of me during my work. But man, it takes like 8-9 hours of your day, and I got 20 years left if I'm lucky. I don't know. One of the biggest regrets of most people on their deathbed is I worked too hard, and I don't want to be that person. So I don't know where it all goes, really. But I think I want to talk about things that are probably quite deep, and just talk. And if anyone listens, that's cool. And if anyone doesn't listen, that's also cool. But it makes sense to put it on here because that's Katie Eden and that's me. And yeah, I've got these 4 songs that I'm working on. I was asked to do a gig in like 3 months' time for an acoustic slot. And of course I did Tearfuls, which I really like, to be fair. And I should write more for that, but I haven't really picked up my guitar in like a good 3 years. And I feel like I'm rusty, and I feel like I sort of like, like a footballer would hang up their football boots at 30. I almost felt like that was me hanging up my guitar. And but it's a massive part of me that doesn't want to. But it's hard graft, mine. doing original music and, not expecting, but, to try and put it out there and hope people like it, because music is such a throwaway thing now. It doesn't mean anything. And I think probably because I gave my CDs away at 100, and I got, I think I ended up giving 30 away, but at least they were to people who, who were genuinely interested in what I was doing and what I was writing. Or they asked for a copy, but maybe that, success really is, I've always said this, success is one person that gets my music. That that means they kind of get me, and that to me is success. But yeah, I don't know. So I guess might title this what we had 16 minutes. Might title this sort of lost and lost in the world of whatever. But yeah, there we go. So I spoke to my local recording rehearsal studio the other day. I think I was on the way to radio, and I was like, he was like, "Hey, KT, you all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm all right." I said, "You okay?" And he goes, "Yeah. I feel like I need to get back into a studio again and just make some noise, and I don't know. I think that's where I've got to be going, really. But there's part of me that wants to walk into the sunset as well, and just and just find even more peace, because that's what I've been working on. But peace, awakening, and all that malarkey brings realism, and we can spawn back to talking about, well, how have you got through the last 40 years of your life? Well, obviously not when I was a kid, but mostly being quite high or on on drink, and that just kind of like numbs everything. And regrettably, I can look back on 20 years of my life where I wasn't really present. I can't even remember all of it. And that's very different now. It's very different now, and maybe that's because, and maybe that's why it's hard, is because you're doing it sober now. So you don't use drink as a crutch. So suddenly, when you do it sober, it's 10 times as hard, because you're not burying your head in the sand. But yeah, here we are. 4 songs, working on the lyrics right now, and then I'll pick up my guitar. I've got a lovely new pedal, like multiple pedal thing that I've got to learn to use for my guitar and my amp. So I need a space, but you ring these rehearsal studios, and a lot of them are kind of set up for bands, not really solo artists or people that need to go there and just play for a little bit, and just sit and make a little bit of noise, because you can make noise at home, but it's not the same. Sometimes you need, and maybe that just harks back to going to band practice. Sometimes you need to throw your guitar in the car and go, and then set up, and then play, and then unplug, and then drive back home. It feels like an event of sorts. But yeah, I think I'll check in a week's time or something, and give an update to those songs. I have got I'm going to be betting alive here, I think. I've got a bass player. He's really cool, bless him. Lives up in Derby, and he wants to do bass for Remnants. Now, Remnants now potentially is moving into a new era, because I've done the demos, and now I want to write the next album with musicians. Can I pull it off? I don't know. Can I, am I going to meet the right people, who you go on join my band, and, it's literally, I don't know, 18 to 25 year olds. there's not many 50-year-olds out there wanting to, as we spoke about all the cogs for a band, there's not many 50-year-olds who want to go out and practice every week, who want to go out gigging, especially with original bands, and then, and then have the same taste in music and then the same direction. And then on top of all that, you need to get on. I don't know. It's a waffle. I might be back in a week. It might be a month. But in therapy, trying to understand where I am in life right now, where I go forward. And she's really cool. Her name's, I don't know if I can say. It's with Mind, the charity Mind. And they are super cool. And the work that they do is incredible. I like keep post on the work front, but work is, work is work, isn't it? It's like this ball of chain of life. You're born, and they, for maybe a couple of years you're free, and then you end up going to school with this ball and chain every day, going into the cold, wet wind, going to a place where I hated from the age of 6 all the way through to 16. Couldn't wait to leave. In fact, I was rarely there towards the end part of school. And then you have to work in order to pay the bills, and that's your new ball and chain until you die. And I don't want it. I just don't want that life. I've done that for 35 years, 34 years. And I'm kind of done with it. Anyway, I'm going to go because this will be half an hour if I put the front bit of the video on. Decided to go for a walk. It helps with mental health. The nicer weather is really going to help. Writing these next 4 songs is going to help. Picking up my guitar is going to help. And potentially finding some friends along the way is going to help. So from me to you, I will see you on the next one. I want to say, yeah, I'll do another video in a few days. It might be a week, it might be 2, but I intend to do a bit more blogging. And I'm grateful to all the subscribers, to all the people that see this video. And if you are going through trouble and strife right now, if you're someone in the 50s who is pondering life right now, if you're someone who is not really enjoying the grind of work right now, then come and sit at this table. You're in good company. I will see you soon. Take good care. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.